Hello everyone, Neil back once again with another film review for you, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Blue Beetle, the latest DC superhero movie, and I will not be spoiling it. I'm going to talk about the story, so if you want to know nothing, then don't watch this, of course, but I will need to talk about the plot, naturally, and then after that I'm going to score it, and then I'm going to spoil it a little bit at the end, okay? So just letting you know, that's how I like to do them these days. And, I thought I was going to take a break from film reviews, and I kind of tried to because it's kind of expensive for me to keep seeing all these movies. I can only see a few movies. This one, though, it really did pique my interest to go and check it out at the theater. And I think you should too if you like superhero movies, because it's not bad even though the superhero genre is tired as hell. I know. Alright, so this movie is directed by Angel Manuel Soto, and I'm going to butcher these names, Zolo Maridueña and Bruna Marquenzine, I hope. Apologies if that's not right. George Lopez is also in this film, and Susan Sarandon, too, as well as the Heavy. So, we've got another decent DC movie here. Will it fail at the box office due to superhero overkill and the fact that you probably don't know who this character is unless you've been reading DC Comics over the last 15 years, if you've watched the Young Justice animated show, or if you've played the Injustice 2 video game, then you may have heard of him, but otherwise you'd be like, who the hell is Blue Beetle? Who is this Blue Beetle? He's different than the Blue Beetle that I grew up with, which was Ted Kord, but that's okay. This is the current Blue Beetle that they came out with, around the Infinite Crisis time there, mid to late 2000s. So, this character is, it's kind of like a mix between Iron Man, a little bit of Spider-Man in there, but I think he's more like Dr. Fate, because you must be chosen by the Scarab, and there's even a little bit of Mega Man in there, too. So, yeah, pretty cool. If anything, it'll remind you of the Spider-Man iron suit from Homecoming, that big techno suit that Spider-Man used to use. I think he used it in Infinity War. So, yeah, that kind of reminded me of that a little bit. I mean, this isn't exactly DC's Spider-Man, even though it's got a couple of similarities, a young male character and everything. But yeah, so it's, not a bad movie whatsoever. It is originally, it was originally intended for HBO Max. And, depending on box office returns, that may have been a better idea. I don't expect the film to do that well, quite frankly. But Blue Beetle, he is a solid DC character. There's actually been 3 of them over the years. And he was originally this Charlton Comics character. And they bought out Charlton Comics. And then the second Blue Beetle was this really great genius spy and tinkerer, this inventor guy, and named Ted Kord. And he became a member of the Justice League of America. And then DC killed him off right before the huge Infinite Crisis crossover. And they created a new Blue Beetle, which was this young Mexican descendant named Jaime Reyes. Jaime Reyes is a very different kind of Blue Beetle, where he doesn't really have a choice in being Blue Beetle or not. He was chosen, and therefore he will be Blue Beetle, which is very different from the Ted Kord version. He didn't have to do with that. He was just a really skilled human. So the film is actually quite a lot of fun, if a bit unoriginal. The story is that an ancient sentient weapon called the Scarab is discovered by Kord Industries, led by Susan Sarandon's Victoria. She's the CEO of the company, and she's the sister to Ted Kord, who has disappeared. And she winds up running the show, and she wants to use the Scarab for her OMAC project. That stands for One Man Army Corps. And you know what? Sarandon is a better movie villain here than I expected. Meanwhile, Jaime Reyes is dealing with his family being in financial trouble, and after being hired and then fired by Kord Industries, he is told to come back the next day for a potential job by Jenny, who is Victoria's niece, so Ted Kord's daughter. And when Jenny finds out about her aunt's evil intentions with the Scarab, she steals it and gives it to Jaime in a burger box, and she tells him not to open it. Just whatever you do, don't open this. But when he gets home, his family kind of eggs him on. The curiosity gets the better of them, and he does wind up, opening it. and the scarab winds up attaching itself to him, to his back, to his spine, and his family's like freaking out. They're all freaking out and screaming, and and it creates this armored suit which allows him to fly and form cool weapons, and it also protects him from danger. Victoria then pursues them both, Jenny and Jaime, and she has this bodyguard named Carapax, who's this dude that has this OMAC prototype suit. So he's kind of similar to the Blue Beetle, but also very different. George Lopez steals this movie as Uncle Rudy. He really does get the best lines. There's some nice moments of comic relief here, and the film overall, it really does focus on family, on the Reyes family, on their culture and their traditions and everything. And I think that's wonderful. There really aren't a lot of Mexican superheroes. There aren't a lot of Latino superheroes out there. So this is great to see. It does, like I said, it delves into the culture a little bit there, but without being too much, without being like, too exclusionary of anyone else. It's not that kind of movie. It is a movie that celebrates the culture of its characters. So that's great. The visual effects were very good, and it does have some very cool action scenes. I won't talk anymore about the story here. The actors all do a great job, though, especially Mara Dueña, who played Miguel on Cobra Kai, if you'll recall. So, yeah, I mean, it's a fun little DC movie, though the ending isn't all that great. Still, a very solid superhero flick that mostly works very well thanks to the great performances and the touches of humor, and hey, Sarandon makes a great heel. Who knew? So, yeah, I enjoyed Blue Beetle, and I think you should go see it. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Alright guys, on to the spoilers now. So, I'm going to be pretty short with these spoilers. It is revealed that Jaime and the Scarab, they can never be separated, or else Jaime will die. So that's destiny. They're going to be, partners for life in this case. So kind of like the Dr. Fate thing, I think, but instead he can't pass this on to someone else. This is his, his thing, his responsibility and everything. And I'm glad they did that, actually, because it separates him from like Spider-Man and Iron Man and other things like that. It's a little bit different anyway, on the DC side of things. Sadly, his father, Alberto, dies of a heart attack in the film. There is also mention of Ted Kord, quite a bit in this movie. And, he led a life of crime fighting. His daughter, Jenny, uses her father's bug ship at one point. The bug ship was very popular in the comics back in the day. And she uses that to go rescue Jaime after he's captured. So basically the end of the movie here is that Jaime is captured and he's brought to an island by Victoria. And after Jaime thinks an upgraded version of Carapax has killed Uncle Rudy, he goes off on him and he almost kills him, but the Scarab stops him. And Uncle Rudy survives, and Carapax winds up having a change of heart, and he decides to self-destruct, killing Victoria as well. And, since she destroyed his life, it's revealed that she was, she was evil, then she did bad things to him, originally here. So it all works out, even though that's kind of a cliche. Obviously, it's kind of like, okay, the change of heart is kind of like, meh. But that's all right. That's a minor misgiving, but a pretty fun movie, I gotta say. In the aftermath, the Reyes family, they escape to mourn Alberto. Jenny takes over Kord Industries, and the Reyes family their home is rebuilt after being destroyed. So that's great. Nice little happy ending there. Mid credits, we do get a recording of Ted Kord suggesting he's still alive. And I'm, again, very happy to that they mentioned Ted Kord, as he was my Blue Beetle growing up and everything in the 80s and 90s. And yeah, he's heard quite a bit here, just saying he hopes that Jenny gets the message. And also, I got to mention that Dan Garrett, the original Blue Beetle, is also mentioned here as who should have been the original host for the Scarab, according to the movie. So, yeah, great little mentions there for comic book fans as well. Glad to see they didn't ignore the past. Very happy to see that. So, yeah, a solid superhero movie with a lot of focus on family and fun action. some nice bits of humor. It's not that original, and I wasn't that sold on the change of heart, by Carapax, as I said, and things were kind of cliched. But it does make sense. Victoria's plan was very much like the villain's plans in the first Iron Man movie. The Jeff Bridges character had kind of the same kind of thinking, like, we're going to weaponize this, So it's kind of cliched, it's kind of tired. We've seen that before. But they do it well, and that's what matters. I like this film better than some DC movies that have come out recently, like The Flash and Shazam 2, and I kind of like those pictures. They weren't bad movies either, but this one's a little bit better, I thought. So I know superhero movies are saturated in the market nowadays, especially Marvel, of course, but DC's, they've had 3 or 4 movies already this year. So a lot of DC out there at the box office. So definitely, I think this is, definitely one to go see. I definitely recommend it. And if you aren't sick of these superhero movies yet, then definitely a good one to see with your family. So again, it's an 8 out of 10 from me. And that's all for this review. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until next time, peace.